Good afternoon, I'm Azlani. Welcome to Updates at Noon. The Perikatan Nasional PN government has given assurance to give undivided support to efforts to revive Felda and enable the agency to emerge stronger than ever before. Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin said the efforts will also enable Felda to create greater success stories in future. As a preliminary measure to strengthen Felda's financial position, the Prime Minister said he has directed the setting up of a special team to address Felda issues chaired by Bursa Malaysia Non-Executive Chairman Tan Sri Abdul Wahid Omar. He said this team is working on identifying the best way to ensure the financial viability of Felda that will benefit the entire settler community. The team, he said, will present him with a report soon. Tan Sri Muhyiddin added that he realised that Felda is in difficult position right now, but he appreciates its significant contribution to national development from the time the Federal Land Development Authority was set up 64 years ago. He said the key successes of Felda were to eradicate poverty, improve the country's commodities, yield and raise the living standard of the people, especially those in the rural areas. Tan Sri Muhyiddin said this when launching the national level Felda Settlers Day 2020 celebration at the Felda Trolak Mara Junior Science College in Sungai, Perak. Meanwhile, Tan Sri Muhyiddin also called on settlers to rise and make full use of the schemes. To use of the scheme for their own benefits. The Premier regarded the land scheme as a potential gold mine and urged them to unearth the treasures it has to offer. Agreeing with term used by Felda Chairman Datuk Sri Idris Jusoh to describe the economic potential these land schemes can offer, the Prime Minister urged settlers to dig for the hidden treasures in these gold mines. In his maiden Settlers Day speech as Prime Minister, Tan Sri Muhyiddin called upon settlers to work together and toil Felda land for the thousands of potential opportunities it can provide. Also, for this reason, 15 entrepreneurial projects have been identified with the collaboration of Universiti Putra Malaysia UPM.
Saya yakin kerjasama ini akan mewujudkan peluang perniagaan dan juga peluang pekerjaan baru pada warga Felda dan sekaligus meningkatkan pendapatan saudara dan saudari sekalian. Kerjasama ini mensasarkan 3,170 usahawan baru dalam tempoh 5 bulan dengan menggunakan fasiliti di Fakulti Pertanian Universiti Putra Malaysia.
In the meantime, Tan Sri Muhyiddin also announced that Agrobank has agreed to relax conditions and offer lower interest rate for the Federal Land Development Authority's Felda New Generation Housing PGBF scheme. Under the scheme, applicants could also get financing up to 110% for a house worth 300,000 ringgit.
Saya nak menyampaikan suatu berita gembira pada hari ini. Pihak Agrobank telah bersetuju memberikan kelonggaran syarat pinjaman di samping menawarkan kadar faedah yang lebih rendah kepada pemohon yang layak. Kadar pembiayaan juga lebih tinggi iaitu 110% daripada harga rumah dengan nilai maksimum RM300,000.
The Prime Minister said he was aware that the matter was one of the most important issues for Felda settlers. No cases of COVID-19 were reported among family members of individuals tested positive after undergoing a home surveillance order HSO at their respective homes since 10th June. Health Director General Dr. Nahisham Abdullah regarded this as a positive sign of HSO implementation. However, this is entirely subject to compliance with the prescribed HSO to ensure that there is no risk of infection in the community. Thus, the Ministry of Health MOH has also urged those returning to Malaysia to continue to cooperate with the ministry and to comply with the conditions stipulated under this order. Under HSO introduced under the Recovery Movement Control Order RMCO, individuals returning from overseas will no longer be housed in the quarantine centre. Instead, they are to undergo 14-day quarantine in their respective homes. The Immigration Department is looking for a Bangladeshi man interviewed by Al Jazeera in its report titled Locked Up in Malaysia's Lockdown. In a statement, it has identified the man as Mat Ryan Kabe, 25, and his last known address was a company in Jalan Lokyu, Kuala Lumpur. He is wanted to assist in an investigation under the Immigration Act 1959, 63 or Act 155. Thus, the department advised people who had information to contact Immigration Assistant Director Nurul Masha Nazlinan Hussein of the Operation, Investigation and Prosecution Division of the Immigration Malaysia Headquarters at 03 888 01298 or 1294 during office hours and the operations room at 03 888 01555 after office hours. Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Abdul Hamid Bado has said that the investigation will be carried out under several provisions of the Penal Code and Sedition Act. Senior Minister for Security Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob have also accused Al Jazeera of false reporting and called the broadcaster to apologise to Malaysians. The Labuan Magistrates Court yesterday fined a forwarding clerk 6,000 ringgit in default 9 months jail for secretly disposing the body of a premature baby girl she had delivered into a sewage drain last year. Magistrate Kashur Rahman Abang Ahmad passed the sentence on Maria Resi Pora, 27, after she pleaded guilty to committing the offence at the rented house at about 3 a.m. on 4 November 2019. In the water consortium, employees undertaking routine maintenance work found the body caught in the rubbish trap of a sewerage plant at about 8 a.m. the following day. Her boyfriend, civil servant Muhammad Izzuddin Awang Limun, 26, who was jointly charged for the offence, pleaded not guilty. The court set 20 August for case management. He was released on bail of 1,500 ringgit in 2 sureties. PJ Pereira represented the duo pro bono. Coming up next, Upin Ipin to help Ministry promote Buy Malaysian Products campaign. A new poverty line, PGK, based on the 2019 methodology with an actual representation of the country's poverty level will be announced soon. Admitting that the 980 ringgit PGK for households based on the 2005 methodology was no longer relevant, Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Economy, Datuk Sri Mustafa Mohamad, gave an indication that the poverty rate to be based on the new PGK would certainly be higher. He said the Department of Statistics had conducted a survey on household income and expenditure as well as basic amenities between January and November 2019 to obtain the actual figures on poverty in Malaysia. Several committees have been set up to study these figures and the results had been tabled twice to the Cabinet.
Kita telah mengadakan Kabinet telah meminta saya membuat beberapa libat urus ataupun engagement. Kita sudah berjumpa hari ini pun ada pertemuan dengan pengarah-pengarah unit perancangan ekonomi. Apabila selesai semua engagement tersebut, insya-Allah kita akan keluarkan angka-angka baru berkaitan dengan paras garis kemiskinan.
He said this to reporters after the launch of the 2020 Population and Housing Census at the Putrajaya International Convention Centre yesterday. The United Nations had claimed that Malaysia's poverty rate of 0.4% in 2016 was unrealistic, given the low benchmark of 980 ringgit. Datuk Sri Mustafa clarified that the per capita income in 2005 was 20,000 ringgit, but it has now gone up to 45,000 ringgit, which means the per capita income has now doubled and it is unlikely that the PGK will remain at 980 ringgit. He also noted that the decision to review the PGK figures had actually been made some time ago during the mid-term review of the 11th Malaysia Plan by the then Pakatan Harapan PH government in October 2018. The Ministry of Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs (KPD) and HDP is in the midst of reviewing the proposal to lower the initial capital for franchises to as low as 50,000 ringgit. According to its Minister, Dato' Alexander Nantalingi, the move will encourage more people to start a franchise business and is among the key focus areas of the National Franchise Master Plan 2021 to 2025, which is being formulated to develop the franchise industry. In a move to develop the franchise industry, Dato' Nanta encouraged shopping malls to place franchise businessmen in order to assist those new to the business.
Yang selalunya masalah kepada golongan yang baru mencuba diri dalam perniagaan ni, walaupun mereka ada perniagaan tapi nak mencari tempat seperti mall ni agak susah sikit, agak mahal bagi mereka.
He said this at a press conference after a walkabout to 13 franchise outlets in Cape Mall, Kota Warisan, Sepang, Selangor. The visit was part of the Domestic Franchise Development Tour program coordinated by the Ministry in collaboration with the Malaysian Franchise Association, MFA. Malaysia's popular animation production, Upin dan Ipin, have been selected as the Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs Ministry's KPD and HDP strategic partners to further promote the Buy Malaysian Products campaign. Its Minister Dato' Alexander Nantalingi said the initiative is expected to help restore the country's economy following the COVID-19 outbreak. He said the selection of the animated characters was in line with the campaign's objective to promoting 100% local products as well as their success at international level.
Kita ni nak mengembalikan keyakinan pengguna atau yang dikatakan consumer confidence untuk membeli belah. Jadi tak kira apa saja jenis barangan, asalkan dia barangan buatan Malaysia yang tulen, itu kita pentingkan dulu.
He said this to reporters after visiting the animation company in Section 13 Shah Alam. He said the strength of the Upin and Ipin animated characters, built since more than 10 years ago, was in their ability to deliver the ministry's message, hence helping the government to further accelerate the country's economic growth through consumer purchasing power. The National Entrepreneur Group Economic Fund at Tekun Nasional Mobilepreneur 2.0 is targeting to assist 500 e-hailing riders with a maximum interest-free financing of up to 10,000 ringgit per person. Entrepreneur Development and Cooperative MEDAC Minister Datuk Sri Dr. Wan Junaidi Tuanku Jaafar said the 5 million ringgit scheme was to purchase new motorcycles and as working capital for food delivery riders registered with e-hailing companies. He said MEDAC, through Tekun Nasional, opened up the opportunity to those who have lost their jobs due to the COVID-19 pandemic to generate income as gig workers or riders, as the involvement of the younger generation plays a role in the country's development. As of now, 48 e-hailing food delivery riders have applied for the financing scheme and 5 applications had been approved so far.
Hingga sekarang ini, kita punya sasaran ialah 500 riders buat ini initially. Pembiayaan hanya 2,000, tapi repair motosikal tu saya ingat cukup 2,000 tu. Dan hingga sekarang ini seramai 250 rider diluluskan permohonan dengan nilai 400 lebih ribu. Dengan sendirinya kita masih ada dana ni lah. Masih ada dana ni lebih 500,000 lagi tinggal. Jadi masih ramai yang boleh memohon dan tapi dengan bersyaratlah permohonan ni.
He said this to reporters after the Tekun Mobilepreneur program launch in Kuala Lumpur. The use of technology in the manufacturing and services industry is essential to achieve the Shared Prosperity Vision WKB 2030. Thus, industry players are urged to increase the use of technology in their operations. Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Special Functions, Datuk Seri Muhammad Rizwan Ahmad Yusof, said although the sector contributes almost 79% to gross domestic product (GDP), the level of technology use is still low at about 37%.
And it looks like they are adopting new technology to give back to the people in terms of sharing what they have attained so far. So there's a lot of stakeholders in this business and beneficiaries. And I hope other companies will follow suit and understand what the government wants to do in terms of trying to reduce this disparity in income between the stakeholders.
He said this after officiating the Business Blueprint Industry 4.0 Technology Plan 2020 launched by bird nest producer MyNest Group Malaysia in Putrajaya. Datuk Seri Muhammad Rizwan said as the income gap between urban and rural households has expanded nearly 6 times in the last 27 years, the economic challenge was to ensure that no group was left behind in sharing the country's prosperity. He said hence the WKB 2030 was important to ensure that Malaysia continued its sustainable development in tandem with a fair and inclusive economic distribution at all levels of income groups, ethnicities, regions and supply chains. Still ahead, Thai police seized 1.5 million tablets of meth. Thailand's Narcotics Suppression Bureau announced on Tuesday that 11 suspects have been arrested and about 1.5 million methamphetamine pills, 2.4 tons of cannabis, 6 kg of ketamine, as well as 200 million baht, equivalent to $6.4 million worth of assets were seized in 3 separate drug trafficking cases during Thailand's long weekend holiday. The first case involved 2 suspects who were arrested with possession of 400 kilograms of compressed cannabis hidden in their blue Hyundai van in Thailand's northeast province of Sakon Nakhon. Police alleged that they were heading to Bangkok to deliver the drugs to Bangkok buyers. In another case, 3 more suspects were arrested with 1.4 million speed pills in Thailand's northern province of Lampang. Police caught them with pills hidden under old mattresses and chicken cages inside a pickup truck. Police then seized land title deeds and a car belonging to the 3 suspects. They also froze 3.7 million baht in savings accounts pending an investigation. In the third case, 6 more suspects were arrested with 2 tons of cannabis and 6 kg of ketamine in Thailand's northern province of Udon Thani. Police said the suspects were transporting the drugs to Bangkok. The Narcotics Suppression Bureau warned that despite the long holiday, police are still working around the clock to crack down on illicit drug trafficking. Thailand has been celebrating a 4-day Buddhist public holiday from Saturday to Tuesday. Japan issued fresh landslide and flooding warnings Wednesday as torrential rain moved over the center of the country and the death toll from days of downpours rose to 54. Heavy rains that began early Saturday on the island of Kyushu have already caused devastation across a swath of the southwestern portion of the country, causing rivers to burst their banks and hillside to collapse. The weather front is now moving north, and on Wednesday morning, the Japan Meteorological Agency (JMA) issued its highest level warning for Gifu and Nagano prefectures in central Japan. In hardest hit Kyushu, the rains had mostly stopped by Wednesday morning, leaving residents in mourning and trying to come to terms with extensive damage. At least 80,000 rescue workers have already been deployed in a desperate effort to reach survivors stranded by flooding and landslides. Late Tuesday, Prime Minister Shinzo Abe pledged to double the number of troops involved in the rescue effort to 20,000. The toll in the disaster has risen steadily as rescue workers discover new casualties. Non-mandatory evacuation orders have now been issued for 1.4 million people, with millions more under lower level warnings. Australian authorities once again imposed a lockdown in Melbourne following a surge in COVID-19 cases. Authorities said the country's second largest city will undergo 6 weeks of lockdown as it detected 191 cases as of yesterday. Strict lockdown measures are imposed in Australia's second largest city as authorities scramble to prevent a second wave of coronavirus infections spreading across the country. Starting from 11:59 p.m. on Wednesday, residents in metropolitan Melbourne will no longer be allowed to leave their homes unless it's for grocery shopping, caregiving, exercise or work. Victoria State Premier Daniel Andrews announced Tuesday the measures, which are expected to remain in place for 6 weeks, come as the state of Victoria saw another record rise in daily coronavirus cases, with 191 new infections recorded for Tuesday. The state reported its previous high of 127 new cases on Monday. Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro announced on Tuesday that he was tested positive for the novel coronavirus. Bolsonaro came down with symptoms on Monday, including a fever of 38 degrees Celsius, cough and headache, leading to a test at the Brazilian Armed Forces Hospital. Bolsonaro cancelled planned visits to the states of Bahia and Minas Gerais this week, according to the state news agency Agência Brasil. The president is considered to be in the high-risk group for COVID-19 due to his age, 65. Bolsonaro campaigned for continued economic activity and often appeared in public without a face mask and disregarded social distancing. The president was tested 3 times in March following a trip to Washington in which 20 members of his delegation or people he met with later tested positive for COVID-19. At first, he declined to make the test result public, saying only that he had tested negative. Eventually, Brazil's Supreme Court ruled the results were in the public interest and had to be published. Brazil has suffered the second largest COVID-19 outbreak in the world just after the United States. The country's death toll has surpassed 65,000 on Monday, with over 1.6 million confirmed cases. Coming up in sports, Zlatan Faris Milan comeback as Juve missed chance to stretch lead. Stay with us. Juventus wasted the chance to move 10 points clear at the top of Serie A as the defending champions blew a 2-goal lead to lose 4-2 as Zlatan Ibrahimovic inspired AC Milan on Tuesday after second-place Lazio's shock defeat at Lecce. Maurizio Sarri's men led through goals from Adrien Rabiot and Cristiano Ronaldo early in the second half, but were then blown away by a brilliant Milan display as Ibrahimovic scored and had an assist.
From 2 of Italy's
the reigning champ out of nowhere on the hour mark as Bonucci was penalised for handball, and Ibrahimovic stepped up to score his 6th goal since returning to the San Siro from LA Galaxy in January. The 38-year-old made it back-to-back games with a goal and assist in the 66th minute, teeing up Frank Kessie to score with the deflected strike. Incredibly, Milivojevic made it 4-2 with his 10th league goal of the season.
Chance for Rebic, and he's going to gobble that up. And Milan.
Felda United remains optimistic that the Fighters squad will be able to finish among the top 4 of the Super League this season. Head coach Muhammad Nizam Jamil also feels that challenges including Pahang and Selangor have a good chance of being in the top 4 as the points difference was not very big. Among others, according to Muhammad Nizam, is that his boys are extremely motivated as none of them or their family members are infected with COVID-19, enabling them to focus their attention in training which began last week.
Kita ada Fadil, pemain muda kita, pemain baru kita ambil daripada PKNP. Kita ada Faiz yang last year main lebih kurang 15-16 perlawanan Liga Super untuk tahun pertama dia. Nazarul Azarid, saya rasa tahun ini dia main 4 perlawanan Liga Super pertama kali dalam hidup dia. So kita gembira dengan challenge yang diberikan sesama mereka. Kita hormat Daniel Amir, pemain penting untuk kita, pemain kebangsaan. But football squad is always about the team kan, bukan individual.
Met during Felda United's training session in Nilai, Negeri Sembilan yesterday, he said the fighters remains committed in showcasing an excellent performance when the local football league resumes. In this regard, Muhammad Nizam expects his players to maintain a strong performance in the remaining 7 games to reach their goal. The fighters are currently tied on points with Sabah and Selangor, 5 points after 4 games, but are in 5th place due to goal difference. National Moto3 rider Khairul Idham Pawi has been allowed to leave for Spain to compete in the World Motorcycle Grand Prix Championship MotoGP after being stranded following European Union rules. Khairul Idham, nicknamed Super Kip, departed early yesterday morning after being granted exemption and permission to enter Spain ahead of the Spanish GP race at the Jerez circuit on 17 to 19 July. In a brief statement, he said he's so happy and grateful, especially after having come to the airport and was denied to depart twice. He's finally get to do so yesterday. He thanked the Youth and Sports Ministry, Immigration Department, National Security Council, NSC and all concerned in facilitating his travel. The 21-year-old was scheduled to leave for Spain last Friday but was stranded at the Kuala Lumpur International Airport KLIA following the European Union's rule of allowing only 15 nationals to enter the Union, and Malaysia is not on the list. In addition to Khairul Idham, Malaysian representatives scheduled to compete in the Spanish GP are Hafiz Shahrin Abdullah of the Aspar team and Kasma Daniel Kasmayuddin representing the TKKR SAG team, who will compete in the Moto2 category. This season's MotoGP Championship was postponed in March after a race in Qatar due to the COVID-19 outbreak. Two-time world champion Fernando Alonso is set to return to Formula One with Renault next year, the BBC reported on Tuesday. The 38-year-old Spaniard has already signed for the French team and an announcement is expected to be made soon. The Spanish two-time world champion, who will be 39 later this month, has signed and will be confirmed soon, sources have told BBC Sport. Renault, however, declined to comment when contacted about the move. Alonso left Formula One in 2018 after 4 fruitless years at McLaren and is due to make a 3rd attempt to win the Indianapolis 500 with McLaren in August. A return to Renault means Alonso will be reunited with the outfit with whom he won his World Championship crowns in 2005 and 2006. Renault needs a replacement for Australian driver Daniel Ricciardo, who will join McLaren at the end of the season. Alonso will hope the new technical rules being introduced in 2022 in an attempt to close up the field, as well as a budget cap on teams, will enable Renault to compete close to the front. That's it from us this afternoon. In our top story, new income poverty line to be announced soon. News at 10 comes on at 10 this evening on the Berita RTM news channel on My Free Views channel 123. I'm Azlani Adani. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye for now.